Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Today I am taking part in Nick the Booksmith's challenge. If you were a journal, what kind of a journal would you be? Welcome here, I'm Sheryl Schmidt of Sheryl Schmidt Artistry, and I'm so happy that you've stopped by today for a visit. If you're new, a very special welcome to you. Please make yourself at home, look around, and hopefully somewhere along the line you'll find something that I've created that inspires you as well. And for those of you returning, I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button, the like button, or the dislike button. Not everybody's gonna like everything I create, and that's okay. And remember, if you hit the little bell icon down below, and set it to notifications to be notified every time I upload a new video, you won't miss anything that I'm creating. Now, back to the journal, back to the book. If I were a journal, what kind of a journal would I be? Well, I like grunge, I like steampunk, I love Alice in Wonderland. I kind of am a girl who just likes a little bit of everything and finds inspiration in almost anything I touch and anything I see. So my journal is very much that. I'm also a little bit of a procrastinator. I only work well under pressure. Well, I shouldn't say I only work well under pressure. I tend to work well under pressure. I enjoy deadlines. I enjoy tight deadlines. And so even though I've had, I think, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks to create this, it's due at the end of the month. I'm started recording this video on July 29th. Yes, I think that's what today is, July 29th. And I only started putting my journal together yesterday. And when I say putting it together, I mean printing it out and getting things folded. So I guess just the fact that I'm cutting it right to almost the last minute to get this project finished and uploaded for you to see. Procrastination is the theme of this journal. One of the things I wanted to stress to you is that even though I'm a grunge girl, a distress girl, you don't have to work in just those brown palettes to achieve that. If you can you see hints of pinks and blues and purples as I move the book? I've already got my pages cut that I want to cover my covers with. And what I've done is every page has something unique printed on it. I've got 17 unique pages, meaning there's 4 unique images on each of those, and they're images that inspire me. They're images that I like. And then I've got 1 page that I've distressed. And rather than distress in the typical browns and blacks and greens that you would normally use for some of that grungy distress, I've gone with pinks, purples, and blues, because those are my 3 favorite colors. And so every page is distressed on both sides in a different color, either pink and blue, pink and purple, purple and blue, purple and pink. You get the idea. And then I've got 1 more page in each signature that has hands holding writing utensils. And I've done the hands in 4 different colors. So I'm just in the process of folding the last of those pages to get into my journal. And I wanted to go over how to fold your papers properly so that they fit together really nice. I use 32-pound paper. Hammermill is my favorite. I can't always get it. But any 32-pound paper is my paper of choice. It's a heavier paper. When you feel it, it easily feels 2 to 3 times heavier than your standard 20-pound copier paper. And I like it because I tend to get less bleed through from markers when I'm writing. I can do a little bit of coloring on these papers and there's no bleed through. Every page is lined. I've created, yeah, there we go. I've created a lined grid on every page, even the ones down here. Everything is lined because Lord knows I couldn't walk a straight line if I tried. And nothing bothers me more when I'm writing in a journal and there's no lines for me to follow, because I'm slanting downhill. You know, it's like I've lost a shoe in the snowbank. There's no saving me. So what I like to do is I use my scoreboard and I use a bone folder. So this is a bone folder. A scoreboard is basically a big grid with narrow slots or slits in it and measurements for you to measure. So on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I'm going to score my paper at 5.5, and I've already done that. And this is the valley side. So this is the side that I came in with my bone folder. And remember, if you've created a valley, now when you fold it, that valley is going to become your peak. And by doing it that way, you get a much nicer fold. You don't get any buckling. Have you ever noticed sometimes how you get a buckle down the inside of your paper? If you remember that the side that you scored, it's a valley now because it's indented, that valley is now going to become your peak. That's going to become your mountain, right? So now I've got a mountain. I've got that fold. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish folding these papers and inserting them into my book, and I will be back to show you how I'm going to put the book together. I'm doing something called a Coptic stitch, and I will walk you through as best I can how to do a Coptic stitch. I will also link Nick the Booksmith's channel down below, so you can go and check out some of the projects she's created. And I will also link C. Lemon, her video down below as well. She has a really good video on how to do a Coptic stitch. I'll try and do it justice, but I will link her video down below as well so that you can go and check out how she does that. So I will be back momentarily. All right, so I'm back. I have everything folded. Usually after I fold my pages, I do like to usually let them rest for 24 hours before I start sewing my book together. I just don't have time right now to do that. The first thing I want to do though is get my papers for my covers glued on. So this is the paper I'm going to use for my front cover. This is going to be my back cover. And then I've found this nice vibrant bright pink that's going to go on the inside front cover and the inside back cover. Some of this won't be seen because I'm going to be sticking an envelope into the covers just to have some storage in the book. So let's get these front covers and back covers done. I do want to sand the covers a bit, and I'm just going to sand right on here. I just want to sand away a little bit of the color all the way around. Just to distress it and open up that little bit of that white paper that's underneath. So now that that's open, I will bring this in, and I'm going to bring in my pink, sorry about the reach here. I'm using Ranger's Archival Vibrant Fuchsia, and I've got my pen, and remember I've taken all of my brushes, and these are makeup brushes that I buy at the dollar store, and I take a coat of nail polish in a corresponding color. So anytime I distress anything with a blue, it doesn't matter what shade of blue, I use this for all my blues. I've got one for purple, pink, brown, black, etc. So I'm going to use my pink brush here, and let's get some ink. So I just load that up on my brush, bring that in. I like the archival inks because once that ink is dry, it's not going to move. So if it gets wet or anything like that, if I happen to have condensation off of a drink or anything like that, it's gonna be fine. I liked this paper as well because it had those tinges of blue in there. I like how much you can see the pink on this edge. All right, so there we go, that is done. Now let's find my 3-in-1. I'm gonna glue that on, but I love that pink all the way around. So this video will be going up on the 31st of July. I'll finish filming today and then edit tomorrow, Friday the 30th, and get it ready to go live for Saturday. Make sure you do go over and check out Nick the Booksmith and see what she's got going on. I do believe everybody that participates in this challenge, I'm not sure when that video will be up, but I think she said that everybody that participates in this challenge and sends her a link to either their blog or their YouTube channel, she's going to put together a little slideshow video with links and stuff so that you'll be able to check out what other people created, and I think that's awesome. It's a great way to check out what other people are doing and get other ideas, because there is always more than one way to build a book and put a book together. Nice, so there's just a little bit of a border around the chipboard showing through. So I could leave that. I'm not going to. I'm going to take this opportunity to work a little bit more pink into that front cover, because why wouldn't I? It'll camouflage that chipboard. If you don't have a heavy, thick chipboard like this, you can use your cracker boxes, your cereal boxes. You just might have to double them up if you want a really thick, hard cover. But you don't have to have a really heavy, thick cover for these books. You can have a much softer cover if you so choose. And then the inside cover, I'm not going to worry about sanding that too much. I'm going to come in with the blue, because the blue is going to show up on that, I think, really well. It'll pick up some, I'm actually even picking up some of that fuchsia that's still on the mat there and giving it a little bit of a purple tinge, which I think is awesome. And then I've picked up some, picked out some really fun vintage papers to cover my envelopes with on the inside. So it's a real, my book is going to be a real mishmash of colors and styles, and I think that definitely describes me as a person. So if I was a journal, I guess that's what kind of journal I would be. A journal where you're not sure what to do with it or how to take it. I'm not making it expandable, so there won't be a lot of room for me to add things into it. I want to use it maybe a little bit more along the lines of a notebook. That's why I've lined all the pages and set up my pages the way I have. And one of these days I'm going to replace this pretty much empty bottle of Beacon, which looks like today is going to be that day. Excuse me, I will be right back. I've got a new bottle. So it's the Beacon 3-in-1 that I always use. Just pop that open. I like that these bottles already come with the tops cut. Oh yes, much better. Alright, and I like that this paper isn't going to matter which direction I glue it down. And one of these days I'll also remember to oil my stool so that you don't hear it squeaking every time I move. I'm sorry. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing here that I did on the other side, and I'm going to put a little bit of ink onto that chipboard. This glue sets up fast. If you're scent sensitive, it does have a strong odor to it, mainly because it's an acetone based adhesive. In fact, as the glue starts getting thicker, you can take acetone and add it into your glue bottle and give it a minute, and it'll make your glue runny again. So if you're sensitive, make sure you've got a window open. I don't find the smell too bad myself, but I'm a hairdresser by trade, so I'm used to working in a salon with the smell of chemicals all around me. So there we go. There is the front cover done. That's gonna just get set aside to set up. While that's setting up, I'm going to go ahead and work on my back cover. I don't think you need to watch me ink and glue that. I will be back when that is finished. All right, so I've got everything glued on. I've got everything distressed the way I want it. Now I'm going to mark my holes for my stitches. I'm going to use a pencil and my ruler. I've gone through and hopefully made sure everything is facing up the right way. I have a tendency to get done stitching a book only to realize that I have inadvertently put something, sewn something in upside down wrong. Just making sure everything is as even as I can make it. I'm going to try and get a jaw clamp just to help hold everything in place. All right, I'll move you in a little bit here so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. So you want to come in, make sure your ruler is lined up with the edge of your paper. I know I've got a bit of a glare, but you want to put a mark at 1 inch, 2 inches, and 3 inches. And you're going to do the same thing down at the other end, 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inches. Right at the, so 1 inch from the bottom of your page, 2 inches from the bottom of your page, and 3 inches from the bottom of your page. And then using just a cut off piece from my book, I know it's really hard to see. The way my camera's set up, it's hard to show you exactly what I'm going to do, but I can see my pencil marks. So I'm going to line up a scrap piece of chipboard, and I'm going to draw a line straight up, marking where those holes are. It's flush against the spine of the book. So I said Sea Lemon does a really good video, and the way she's got her camera set up, it's so much easier for you to see what it is that she's doing. Askew, there we go. All right, so can you see those lines that are drawn there now. Those are the marks that I just put in so that I know where I'm going to be poking those holes. So I'm going to take my front cover, make sure, let's see, it's going to go on like that. So this is going to be the side that I'm going to need to mark my holes. And I want to come in roughly 1/2 inch. I'm going to put just a couple of little pencil marks just so that I know where. I'm very carefully going to take my page all right. I'm going to take my page here. I want to be 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch in, which I am. Okay, and then I'm going to mark those 3 holes. Like that. And then I'm going to put this back onto the pile. You want to, once your pages are marked, you want to make sure you keep them in the right order. Can you see those holes? And I like to work on an old phone book. So I'm going to bring in my phone book and my awl. And I like to stand up for this. It makes it easier to make sure that I'm going straight up and down. And I'm going to push through. I want a fairly big hole in my chipboard just to make it easier to get my needle in and out. And I know you might be asking, well, why didn't you just measure 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inches? And that's because you always tend to measure just ever so slightly different each time. By just using the marks that I've got there, I was able, I'm able to make sure that these marks will line up with the marks on my book. There we go. Yeah, that all looks like that. It's going to line up really good. Now, taking inside cover to inside cover, making sure that those are together, and I'm going to just shoot a clamp across the room. I just want to put a clamp on there just to hold that in place, make sure that doesn't shift. And I'm going to come through these holes that I just made. Going through that bottom cover. And there we go. So that's all marked. Those holes have all come through. All right, now on to putting the holes into the signatures. I'm going to open up my signature. I can see those marks. I want to make sure my papers are lined up. Make sure those folds are nice. And I'm going to poke my holes. And because this is my top signature, I will put it face down and move on to the next signature and so forth. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark all these signatures, and when that's done, I'll be back. All right, so everything is marked. I'm just going to move you in here. This is the back cover, my front cover, all my pages, all my holes, and make sure you keep everything in the right order because it will go so much easier when you're sewing your book together. I have a bookbinding kit that I've made for myself. I've got an awl. I've got several different kinds of needles. I even have some upholstery needles, and I like sewing with those. I've got waxed thread. I've got unwaxed nylon thread. I'm trying to decide what I want to use on this book today. I think I'm going to go with kind of this rose goldy color. It's a mixed pack of wax threads that I picked up off of Amazon. It came with all these wax threads. It came with the needles, it came with the awl, and it came with 2 bone folders, I believe. It was a really, really good price. But I think I want to go with that thread today. I want to encourage you to remember that it's okay to run out of thread when you're sewing. You can just simply tie off a knot and start over again. I'm just trying to decide what size needle I want to use. I definitely don't want to use like the biggest needle, but yeah, I think that needle should be okay. So I've settled on a needle. The nice thing with waxed thread is that you don't typically need to have it doubled for this project, which is nice. When I use my nylon thread, I do double my threads. I like the nylon, the unwaxed nylon, when I'm doing just a 3-hole stitch because I like to have lots of threads left hanging. In a project like this, you're not going to have any thread ends left hanging. And I find kind of 2 arms length is typically what I will start with. I'm going to cut that and thread it. And then I want to make sure I keep a tail. I'm going to I am going to knot this. Sometimes I knot it, sometimes I don't. I think today I'm going to, sometimes I wait and just knot it, when the thread comes back in. But anyways, so you're going to take your bottom cover and your bottom signature and try and give yourself some room. You're going to start, make sure, yeah, that's the bottom of my book. Make sure my pages are going the right direction. So you're going to start at the inside hole of your signature. You're going to come through that inside hole. Hope that none of your pages shifted. Come out. And then I'm going to come around to the outside hole of my cover and come up. Okay, so I've got that going. Let's see, can I bring you in a little bit closer? Will my camera focus if you're in any closer? There we go, so I've got that. So now I'm going to snug that up. I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to loop around. So I'm coming around that stitch I just made. Make sure when you come around you don't stab your other thread there. There we go. So I'm going to come around that stitch I'm going to pull that up. I want things to be snug. And I'm going to come back through that hole into my inside cover. Into my inside cover. I did catch my thread. There we go. I'm going to snug that up. It takes a minute. Working with a wax thread is a little bit different than working with an unwaxed. All right, so I've got that snugged up. I'm going to come down through this hole into the outside of my book. Okay, so I'm coming out that second hole of my signature. I'm pulling snug and tight. I'm going to come around into the outside back of my cover. Come up my cover again. Try and snug that up. There we go, that feels snug. You're going to come around that stitch. I'm going to bring, actually I'm going to take my needle. I always try to come around my stitch the same direction, okay? So eventually we'll get there. All right, story of my life. Like I said in my last video, if there's a hard way to do something, I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to pull that nice and snug. I'm going to, this is why I like working with a curved needle, especially if I'm doing the Coptic stitch, just because it's easier to get my needle to wrap around there. I'm going to pull that up, right? So that's been wrapped around. That's nice and snug, and back in through that hole, back into the inside. There's my if you get a little knot, just stop, go back, untangle. There we go. And that's how you're going to stitch. So I'm going to do the third hole, same way. I'm going to come out. Pull that snug. I'm going to come around and up through that hole. Okay, pull that nice and snug. Oh. All right. And then I'm gonna wrap around that stitch. Pull snug, sorry, I'm off camera. All right, so that's tightened up. Come back in that hole. And you do want to try and make sure you're not accidentally grabbing that thread when you come back in. There we go. And then I'm going to snug that up, and I'm going to come up to this hole, and I'm going to repeat the process. So I'm going to sew this in, and when this is done, I will be back to show you how I'm sewing my signatures together. All right, so I've got my bottom signature sewn into my my cover, my back cover. I'm going to bring the next signature in. Each of my signatures has 3 pages, and a signature is what this is. A signature is your folded pages, and you can put anywhere from 2 pages, 4 pages, 5, 10. You know, I've seen some people take 20 pages, fold it. You just have to remember, the more pages you have in your signature, the farther out they're gonna stick. So if you want a nice, clean, smooth finish, you're not gonna want more than you know, anywhere from 2 to 4 pages in a signature, but it's your book, you do you. So once I have that bottom signature sewn, I'm gonna come up from that last hole where my string is here. I'm coming up into the next signature, into this top hole here. I'm gonna come inside. This signature. And I'm going to come down this next hole here. I'm going to make that nice and snug. Oh, and I just ripped my paper. And that happens, so don't be quite so aggressive. And you want to make sure you're always coming into the thread loop below. Let's see if I can find my needle here. It happens. I don't worry too much about a ripped page. It happens. That just tells me I'm being a little too vigorous. I'm gonna come up. Managed to create a knot somewhere. Let's find my. Oh, I just caught on my book here. All right, come in, and you're just going to keep adding each signature like that. You'll go in and out all those holes, making sure you always loop around the signature below. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing my book together, and when that's all sewn together, I will be back to show you what I'm going to do next. And remember, I will have a link to Sea Lemon's video down below showing you how to do this Coptic stitch. She's much better at it than I am. All right, so I've got everything sewn together. I'm ready to put my last signature on and the cover. So these two get sewn on together. So when you get to the end, and as you can see here, I've switched to my curved needle. I just was getting frustrated with my straight needle. So when you're ready to put your cover on, make sure your cover is facing the right way, make sure your last signature is facing the right way. You're gonna come, you've looped around, you're gonna come up, you're going to come through your cover first, you're going to come around, you're gonna come down, and you're gonna loop under that last signature you sewed in. I'm going to snug that up. You're going to make sure that you can see that signature that you're sewing in there. Okay, so you've got it looped around, got it set on your cover. You're going to come up and you're going to go into your signature hole. into my signature. Pull that snug. Being careful not to pull so hard that you rip. You want things tight because you want that spine to be nice and solid. All right. You're going to come to your next hole in your signature. Come out. You're going to come out that bottom signature, or that second signature hole. You're going to snug everything back up again. This is the most time consuming part of it all, is getting everything all snugged up nice and tight. Take your time, make sure you get it snugged up how you want it. We're going to loop around that signature again. You're going to come around and come down your cover. Oh, no, I did that. Did that wrong. Come out your... Sorry about that. That's why I keep saying go see C. Lemon's tutorial. She does a much better job, and her camera angle will allow you to see it. So you're going to come out that second hole, and you're going to come up underneath your cover. All right. Then you're going to loop around and come back in to your signature. And you're going to just repeat that process. So I'm going to turn off my camera, I'm going to finish this, and I'll be back when it's all sewn together. All right, welcome back. I've finished sewing my book together. I have also added some extra embellishments to it. I've got everything sewn in there, as you can see. I've taken some of the Tim Holtz grunge board hinges that I had left in my stash and painted them in, what did I paint them in? I painted them with metallic bronze and a copper, and then I had a metallic blue turquoisey color as well. So I've used those three. I had some grunge board angel wings and I put them front and back. And the reason why I did that is I like, when I'm grabbing a book, I like to have something to hold onto, and then it doesn't slip out of my hands. So let's do a little bit of a flip through here. I created a pocket in here. These are Tim Holtz old stickers. I've had them in my stash forever. I've got a pocket here to stick like some sticky notes or receipts. I've got pockets here as well. These are all open to stick stuff into. The very first page says use time wisely. You'll see occasional little spots of tissue tape, washi tape in my book. And those are just the spots where I got a little overzealous when I was tightening up my string when I was sewing my book together and I ripped through my pages. So just, you know, you don't need a lot of strength or a lot of force on that. And that's just something I tend to do. I tend to pull a little too hard. So each signature will have 4 unique images. Each signature will have 1 sheet that has been distressed in either pink, blue, or purple. And it will have 1 page that has hands holding a writing utensil, as this will be primarily used as a notebook for myself. All my images are either vintage themed, steampunk theme, Alice in Wonderland, Victorian. I'm very eclectic in my taste, and so the book reflects that. There's some Gothic imagery in here as well. The Alice in Wonderland images I used all had the pinks, purples, blues, and that's where the color scheme came from for the distressing on these inside pages. All of the images came from either Creative Fabrica, I'll leave a link for that down below, or they came from the Graphics Fairy. I'll leave a link for that down below as well. Some of the images I've manipulated them in my photo program and created them to be unique to me. Some of them I have not. They're just straight images from those sites. So that just gives you a rough idea of what all is in here. I will do a complete flip through and attach that to the end of my video, and I will speed it up. There won't be any talking. It'll be very quickly, 1 page after the other. Let me know if you were a journal, what kind of a journal would you be? Please make sure you check out Nick the Booksmith's channel. I will leave that link down below. And in the next few days, she will have a video up, I believe, linking everybody that participated in this challenge so that you'll have lots of places to go and visit afterwards and get inspired to create your own journals. I will leave Sea Lemon, the link to her video down below showing you how to do the Coptic stitch binding. Like I said, her camera angle is much better. She's much better at explaining how to do it. I thank you once again for sticking through this video, watching me create this journal. I think it's going to be a fun journal to write in. I'm not sure if I'll use it for traditional journaling or if I'm going to use it for list making or if I'll use it to document and keep track of ideas for future videos. But it's another journal for my shelf, and I really don't think you can have too many journals. So until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.